everyone, I'm back with a video on interactive rebase. I'm pretty excited for this one. I think it's a pretty easy thing, but it's also pretty useful, especially at work. When you have those 250 commits to squash and you don't know what to do and you get really nervous. I've been there, and I decided to deep dive into interactive rebase to actually understand how to do this way more easily, and also other things that interactive rebase can do for you. So yeah, let's get into it. I think we can begin with a definition of what an interactive rebase does, just to give some context. Essentially, a interactive rebase helps you to do many things with the commit history. So maybe you want to modify the commit history. For example, you want to squash the commits together. When I say squash, I mean you take all the commits that you have and you squash them together into one, so all the changes are still valid and they're still here, but you only have one commit instead of like maybe 10. And then you can also change your individual commits, and you can remove completely some commits. Essentially, it's just to change your commit history to make it more clean, to maintain it. As I said before, I think this is pretty important at work, because when you make a pull request, sometimes there are some rules that you want to follow. For example, some places where you work will ask you to do one commit per pull request to just keep the history clean. And so you need to learn how to handle that and how to clean your own history before you make a pull request and merge it. And so today what we're going to do is a few of the many things that you can do with a interactive rebase. So we're going to learn how to squash our commits, we're going to learn how to change our individual commits, and we're going to learn how to drop our commits. So it's going to be a 3-part video, and that's pretty much it. Okay, let's get right into it. So here I have a project that I already made. There's already a Git repository. We're already on the main branch. I already have 2 files that I made in advance, and I have a bunch of commits right here that I made in advance too. Now here, I want to focus more on how we can play with this commit history more than anything. So I made all of this in advance so that we don't have to spend time doing this. You can play with this on your own. You can just go on your local development and just try to create a few commits, random things, it doesn't have to be very high effort. Right here, I just added lines to my README file. And that's pretty much all we need. So the first thing that I want to do is kind of take a look at what the history looks like of commits. So I'm going to do git log. And this is what we have. I showed you that I had maybe 7 commits. And I named them all by number of commits. This is not what you're supposed to do. This is just to help you visualize what's going on a little bit better. But if we scroll down, we can see all the changes that I made. Now, we can go a little deeper and I can show you what changes have been made. So, for example, if you go to the first change, I created the README file with a little line in the README. Now, I did a lot of other changes. We'll go through them. The first thing that I want to do is show you how to change the name of a commit. Because sometimes you want to make a pull request with some commits, but their names are maybe not as representative as you would want them to be. So I'm going to show you how to change the description of those commits so that it's clear when you make your pull requests. First things first, what is the command for interactive rebase? It's pretty simple. So I'm going to write down the command, and then I'm going to explain to you what it means. So this is what the command looks like. This is the format that you want to have. I'm going to explain to you what each of these mean. So first of all, we have git. Obviously, we need to call git when it's about git commands. And then we have the rebase. Obviously, it's an interactive rebase, so we will have to call rebase. And then the -i is to specify that we want it to be interactive. Now, when I say interactive, it means that you will be able to see some things come up and prompt you to change a few things however you want. Now, the head ~7 just specifies where you want to start and where you want to end in terms of history of commits. Now, what that means is that, for example, you can see here that we have 7 commits, right? But let's say I just want to change the description of the commits of the 3rd and 2nd change. Then I don't need to take a look at all of the rest of the commits in my interactive rebase, because it will prompt me with some information about those commits. I just want maybe the 3rd or the 2nd. So I'm going to say that I want to go until the 3rd commit. And then I would specify here from head until the third commit. Where the reason why I put 7 is I want to show all the 7 commits. But if you put 6, you would see until the 6th, and then so and so. Now, you don't have to specify a range. You can also specify a commit hash specifically, which would bring you to only this commit. Now, I prefer to use that just because usually that's what happens. I need to change a few commits and not only one, but it's up to you, and you choose whatever is best for your situation. So as soon as you get in, this is what you see. You can see your commit history right here, and you can see their commit hashes, all the messages of your commits, and then you can see this little keyword saying pick. Now, to give more context about that pick keyword, you can take a look at this section right here, which is giving you all the commands that you can use with interactive rebase. Now, you can play around with this yourself, but we're going to focus on only a few of these commands. Now, here, as I said, my goal would be to change the message of a commit. The reason why I want to do that is, as I said before, the message of my commit is maybe not good. I want to change it to make it more clear. And as we can see here, we have this commit message that says third change is a change. Now, I think that's pretty unclear as to what the third change is doing. Now, let's take a look at what the third change is actually doing. We can see that it adds a little line to the README file. And we can change that commit message to make it more clear and to give more information to the person who could be reading that commit, and also to yourself. So to get into that interactive rebase, I'm going to show you something. If I use my keyboard right here and I press on any key, it's not changing anything. If I delete, nothing's happening. It's just like moving, right? The reason why it's not working is because to get into that interactive rebase, you need to go into the insert mode. And to do that, we just press the I key. As soon as you press that, you will see that little insert keyword pop up at the bottom. Now, when you see that, you know that you're able to modify your commit history. Now, as you can see, if I press backspace, now I can change the actual keywords. Here, I want to reword my commit message. Which command do you think I should pick? If you look at them, you can see that little reword keyword that says use commit but edit the commit message. That sounds about right. So I'm going to use this. Now also, as you can see here, it says R, reword. Now that means that you can use either keywords. You can use R or reword. Now I'm going to only use R because it's way simpler, way quicker, and I'm just going to try to save that. Now to save that, it's also not as straightforward. To do that, you want to also save this state and quit out of this interactive rebasing. So to do that, you want to press on the escape key, and as you can see, the insert is not there anymore, which means you're good. Now to also save and quit, you're also going to write column, write and quit. So WQ for write and quit. As soon as you press enter, this is what you will see. Now, where did that come from? What does it mean? It means that you picked reword for a specific commit, and now it's prompting you, what message do you want for that commit? As you can see, it doesn't prompt you to change all of the commit messages. It prompts you only to change the third change commit. Now I want to change that. Again, I will have to press the I key to insert. Now I will be able to change it, and I said that I'm going to say third change, adding a line in the README. I think that's clear enough. So to save that, we are going to again press on the escape key on the WQ to write and quit, and that is it. So right now, if we do git log, we can see, if we scroll down, the new commit message, and that's pretty much it. Alright, so now that we're done for changing the message of a commit, let's get into the next step. The next step would be to learn how to drop a commit. Now, dropping a commit means literally just deleting that commit, deleting all the changes that are in this commit, and removing it from the history completely. The reason why you may do that is maybe you made a commit with some specific changes that you do not apply to what you want anymore, or maybe you made a mistake, or maybe this was just comments that you added for a test file that you don't want anymore. It could be so many things, and there are so many reasons for you to drop a commit, and I think it's pretty useful because there are a lot of times at work that I had to remove a lot of commits from my history and I wasn't sure how to do it, so I'm going to show you how to do it. Now let's get into that rebase again. And let's get that screen up. Now again, we want to drop that commit. Let's choose which commit we're going to drop. I'm going to choose this one, that 7th change that adds a line to the README file that says what is the weather today. So if you go into the README file, you can see that there's a little line here. I want to remove it. It's not relevant for me anymore. So this is the 7th change. What is the weather today? I have another 7 change. I realize that is a mistake. It's fine. Stay with me. So to remove that change right here, so it's that what is the weather in the README, we're going to go into that insert mode again and go down to that commit and remove that pick because we don't want to use it anymore. We want to drop it. Now, if you look at the commands, you might see that little drop command that removes a commit. That's what we want to use. You can either use D or drop. I'm going to use D just for simplicity. Okay, now we got it. We can press escape and press right quit. Here we go. If we do git log again, we cannot see that new change. Now let's go see what the README file looks like. Here it is. Where is the weather? It's not here anymore because we removed it. So that's what dropping a commit will do for you. And I think it's pretty useful because sometimes you have commits all over, that you have one commit that changes files all over the place and it's kind of complicated to just go and remove them manually. It can be pretty long. Dropping a commit is pretty easy. Sometimes you will use it. I use it a lot at work and I think it's pretty useful to just know this little simple trick that can be sometimes overlooked. And that's it for dropping a commit. Now the last step is how to squash commits. This is the big one. I think this is the most useful one. This is the one that you will use probably the most at work because sometimes at your workplace it will be expected for you to have one commit per PR, and that's pretty much how I do things, how I started doing things actually. I feel like it keeps a very clean timeline where you can easily go and check the history of PRs that were merged and know exactly what happened at this PR. And I've had times where I would have hundreds of commits in one PR and that can be pretty heavy. So squashing can be pretty useful and I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's get into that rebase again and let's get into that history. And just a reminder, squashing means taking a few commits and squashing them together into one commit, keeping all the changes that are in all the commits, but just combining them all into one so that you can have a cleaner history. Now, let's get into that insert mode again. And squashing is a little bit different because it involves multiple commits at the same time. You're not going to squash only one commit with itself. It doesn't make sense. You want to squash multiple commits together. So what you want to do here is we're going to choose a few commits that we want to squash together. I'm going to choose the 3rd to the 6th commits. If you look at the commands, you can easily see a little squash. And the definition says use commit but melt into previous commit. So that means that the final commit that you want to leave would be this one. Now you don't want to put the squash command on this one because you want to leave this one and squash all of these together into this one. Now what we're going to do, as you can expect, is put the S command or squash, whatever you want, into all of the commits that you want to squash into the 3rd one. So this is how it works. If you want to squash the 3rd to 6th, you're not going to put the S command on the 3rd one because then the 3rd will also be squashed into the 2nd one. This is how it works. The most recent one that you have that is not a squash will be what the other commits will be squashed into. So again, press the escape, right quit as usual. Now here you come up and you prompt with other things. You have all these commit messages. You have this is the first commit message number 2, 3, and 4. This is where you want to change your commit message because sometimes you merge a lot of commits together and the message is not relevant anymore. You want to change it to something more relevant. So we're going to go into insert mode again. We're going to delete all of these commit messages and just put one that represents accurately all of these changes together. I'm going to delete everything. And as you can see here, you only have to delete the ones that do not start with the hash because these are just comments, they will be ignored. Okay, so I've deleted all the commit messages, and now you can put your actual commit message anywhere. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna put it right where I am, where I ended up. It doesn't matter at all. So the commit message that I'm gonna say is changes to the README and adding details to the mouse file. This is pretty accurate. I'm going to press escape and right quit again. And here we go. Now let's do git log. We can see that we have the 7th and the 2nd and the 1st as usual, but the 3rd to the 6th do not exist anymore, and we can see just changes to the README and adding details to the mouse file. So that means that all the commits were squashed. Now to prove that, we can also go and see the state of the repository. It is still the same. All the lines that I've added to the README file are still here, and all the details that I've had added to the mouse file are still here too. So it works, and as you can see, the history stayed the same on the places that we did not change, and all the commits were squashed into one commit. Now that clears up, as you can see, that clears up your history. It looks way better. This is usually the mindset that I have when I'm working. I usually do all my commits. I commit a lot, very frequently I commit, and then at the end, when I'm ready to make my pull request and it's been approved, I will squash everything at the end and merge it so that the history stays clean. Alright, you got to the end of it, and I hope you learned something. I think this could give you very good tools to feel more confident and to play around with it by yourself. I think it's a good idea to practice a little bit, to be able to have that as an instinct more than anything. And yeah, I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. See you in the next one. Bye!